But yeah, so I don't know if they make them, and even if they did, I don't even know if I would want to waste the hop on it. I don't even know if it's worth it to me.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
Well,
I'm not that IPA guy. I don't know.
well, and that's the funny thing, and I think I don't think I've said it before on here, but I do think it's funny how different people have different palate for things, because for me, I'm very sensitive to phenols. Like phenols for me become like plastic so fast. Like, do you remember when we were kids and you get a toy and then there'd be like a piece of plastic that was in the packaging or whatever?
Oh yeah.
And because I was a spaz, I would bend it and I would want it to break, but it wouldn't. And it would just stretch and bend. But you start bending it and it starts getting hot and you're just a spaz. So you keep doing it. And it actually starts smelling like oil, or like it starts smelling like weird. You know what I mean? And real like hot plastic. Dude, phenols go from like, you know, like lightly, a generally spicy, maybe a little bit of clove, just boom, straight to burnt plastic for me.
Okay.
There's no in between. And so you're talking about kind of, you know, how IPA isn't your thing. When I went to Belgium, I sat down in a place with appropriate glassware, because everybody has the appropriate glassware there. So there's 10 different beers you can get. They all know how to pour it out of the bottle. But if you're ordering Westmalle or, you know, Rodenbach, whatever, they all have the right glassware and everything. So they come over, they pour my Westmalle triple. And dude, for me, that beer was so phenolic for me. I felt I felt like the biggest douchebag, because here I am in Brussels with my chalice of Westmalle, and I'm like, I think it's a little plasticky.
Could be better.
You know? Now listen, okay. I know full well that's essentially, at least that's what BJCP used to say. That I think they had Westmalle triple rated as like the triple in the world, or at least like one of the ones, right?
I would agree.
It's the top of the mountain. But for my stupid palate, it was phenolic. You know what I mean? And I just know that's. But then there was other beers that I had there that I thought were fruitier, which were more in a range where I liked it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, everybody has their.
So you went to Belgium, you go to Westmont, you have the beer and you hate it. You're like, ah. God bless you.
In all fairness, I was at a beer bar, and it was it was my only bad experience. So when we went there, we did the whole thing where I had a buddy of mine say, "Hey, we should go." And he actually took me there. He actually paid for me to go. I couldn't go. So at the time, I was not working. I was on sabbatical from teaching, so I'm receiving no paycheck. It's between that and me starting my pro brewing career. Okay. And he comes over the house and he has the three different Roquefort beers. And we're splitting them and we're sipping them, whatever. And so, I mean, back then, the talk was always best beer in the world was Westvleteren 12.
Yeah.
Right. So
for sure.
Yeah. And so I was like,
not for you though. It's too fruity.
No, I loved it. Actually, I'll say this though. Well, we'll get to that. But and I said, you know, how good of a story would it be to just fly to Belgium, go to the monastery, drink this beer, and come home? And we're laughing, talking, whatever, we're sipping on these Belgian beers. And a little bit later, he's like, hey, listen, you know, we should go. And I said, yeah, man, that'd be great. And he goes, no, seriously, we should go. And I said, well, I can't afford it. And he said, well, I'll take you. And I said, you're going to pay for me to go to Belgium for a weekend. And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, I've got some extra money. He said it. And the funny thing was, he said, if I don't do something awesome with it like this, I'm just going to buy a bunch of stupid science fiction DVDs.
Wow.
So let's
awesome.
He said, so let's do something awesome with it. And I'm like,
wow.
Okay. So
yeah.
Here I do. I pick up the phone. I call my wife who's working. I'm like, hey babe, how's it going? And she's like, good. How are you? I'm like, oh, I'm just having some drinks with Kevin. She goes, oh, that's nice. And I said, hey, I said, he wants to go to Belgium. And she goes, really? She goes, well, that sounds like fun. And she goes, well, for how long? And I'm like, just for like a long weekend, like a Friday to a Monday, just in and out. You know what I mean? And she goes, well, that sounds great. And she goes, but, you know, we don't have the money for that. And I said, yeah, I know, but he wants to pay for me to go. And she goes, well, sounds great. When do you want to go?
Yeah, that's a good answer.
That's a good woman right there,
Yeah.
man. So
Well,
her unemployed husband laying on the couch,
get you out of there for a while. She got shot out of the country, across the world. It's like, oh, it's about
so
time.
dude. So I ended up calling my buddy Lou, who he had done some. He's traveled in Europe before, and he was single at the time. And so I mean, I'm like, hey, dude, in like 6 weeks we're going to Belgium. Do you want to go? And he goes, yeah. So it was the three of us, and we went over there. And the first day we hit up Cantillon, which was absolutely just a sensational experience. Second day we took the train out to, well, I guess the town is Poperinge, and then from there you have to either have to bike or taxi out. We biked out to the monastery, to West Lettern. And that was
had some so-so beer over there, and then
dude, no, I'll tell you that. Well, those beers are really that style of Belgian beer is much more my wheelhouse. Like the darker, richer red brown beers, those strong ales. When it comes to those styles of Belgian beer, that's really what I prefer. I say double. I know you say double, but doubles, quads, dark strongs, whatever you want to call them. That's my preference for Belgian beer, because I love like the dark cherry, the fig, the plummy stuff. You know, the darker fruit stuff. Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah. So when we went there, they had the 6, the 8, and the 12, and so the 6 was like, not quite a table beer. It may have, I'm trying to remember the ABV on it, but it was the most sessionable of the beers. It was pale. It was golden, firmly bitter, not pale, not like Sierra Nevada pale ale bitter, less than that, but you know, Belgian character, probably like a, you know, Belgian pale ale type beer. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it went up to the 8 and then the 12. Now I will say this, drinking them all right there, the 8 beat the 12, but I think the reason is I think it hit its prime sooner because it's a lower ABV. That 12 is higher, okay. And I think we were all drinking them at about the same age. I think if you actually get a little bit, and I don't think it needs a lot of time. Like I'm not those beers were. I mean, it was. I don't know, as hokey as you want to get about, you know, a beer experience, as far as it goes, I mean, those beers were magic. You know what I mean? For the love of God, you flew over the Atlantic Ocean. You took a train. Who in the United States takes a train? I mean, places. I mean, and it wasn't a subway. Like it was a real train, like out into the countryside. Yeah. And then you ride a bike to get to a monastery where the guys won't talk to you. You know what I mean? Like there's so much built around it. You know, there's so much magic built into it.
It's an adventure.
You know? Oh, dude, it was I honestly, and that was the thing, you know, and this is kind of an off the cuff thing, but the guy that I ended up going to Belgium with, Kevin, I haven't seen him as much over the last several years. And sometimes that's just how life is, you know what I mean? But dude, that's something you don't forget. He was absolutely right. He could have spent that money on, you know, Deep Space Nine DVDs, or, you know, like done that. And it was wild, man. You know, it was just an absolutely magic experience. But no, those beers were gorgeous, man. And there was nothing you could get there. You can get the 6, the 8, and the 12, and you can get cheese, and you could get some sort of processed meatloaf. It was like almost like cold cutty, like type, and it had like chunks of meat inside of a larger meat slice.
I don't even know what you're saying. Chunks of meat inside of a larger meat slice.
Yeah, I mean, like, so just imagine it was like I don't know, it was like
a kaleidoscope of meat.
Yeah, but it was all stuck together. It was like some sort of meat compression.
That sounds delicious.
So I know how to sell cold cuts, baby.
Yeah, you're good, man.
But no, dude. So yeah, man. But that really was. I mean, that was one of those things where, I mean, you couldn't beat it, you know. And then we had the great part of it was we didn't realize. So none of us speak any local language. You know, we're just three American dummies out there. Sure. And we don't realize, in our excitement, we don't realize that it's all slightly downhill going to the monastery. And then so we're at the monastery, and so they have a building across the street from the monastery. It looks like a little bit like this is going to sound bad, but like a glorified freeway rest stop.
Okay.
I'm not joking. I feel a little bad saying it, but it's nice. It's a nice building. But sure. But you go over there and they have the 3 beers and the meat and cheese, and that's what they do. But it was all kind of downhill on the way back, so we went there and imbibed. We had our beers there, and then of course we load up with 50 pounds of beer on our backs, and we have to ride the bikes back now. And now we're noticing that it's all subtly uphill, and subtly uphill does not seem like a big deal until you're doing it with a 50-pound pack and some Belgian beer in your stomach.
Yeah, with a buzz, yeah, for sure. And all that compressed meat stretching your belly out.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you feel as if you got any value out of the video, please like and subscribe. There are also other videos that you can watch. They're going to maybe be over here or over here. Appreciate you watching.